Ever wondered how mastering essential grammar can transform your communication? Dive into Essential Grammar Mastery, where we make learning the phrase pattern. It is essential fun and engaging for everyone, from kids to professionals. In this dynamic lesson, we break down the concept with clear explanations and tons of relatable examples. With interactive exercises, you'll grasp the usage naturally, whether you're a student or a public speaker aiming for fluency. Imagine confidently expressing the importance of your ideas with the perfect phrasing. Ready to elevate your language skills? Don't miss out. Get started with Essential Grammar Mastery today and unlock your full potential.
Welcome to English Podcast and Patterns. Let's jump into discussing a lesson that really drills into a powerful grammar structure. It is essential that subject verb.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a structure that you can use to emphasize how crucial something is in formal settings, right?
Exactly. It's like when you need to stress that an action is not just nice to have, but absolutely necessary, whether in academic discussions or professional emails.
Right, yeah. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The structure itself uses what we call the subjunctive mood. That means, instead of the typical verb conjugation, you stick with the base form. You know, like saying, it is essential that she be here on time, instead of she is here.
Yes, exactly. And that may seem a bit counterintuitive at first, because our ears are usually tuned to the more common present forms.
Exactly.
But the base form, the subjunctive, just sets the stage, creating a tone that's formal and very precise.
Speaking of, it's interesting because that structure really pops up in academic and business contexts, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like a magic phrase for clarifying what you consider non-negotiable.
Yeah, right.
And what's cool is that you have an alternative form as well. It is essential for noun pronoun to verb. It feels a bit smoother, especially in spoken English.
Right. I mean, sometimes the direct subjunctive can feel a bit stiff. It is essential for students to submit their assignments on time. Sounds way more conversational, right?
Exactly. And that flexibility is one of the strong points of this lesson. It not only shows you the importance of formality, but also offers that softer alternative for everyday speech.
So true. And it's not just about stressing importance. It's teaching a whole mindset about precision and clarity in language use. When you say, it is essential that you're elevating your voice in a conversation.
Right, exactly. Imagine you're in a meeting or giving instructions in a classroom. This structure makes your point clear and demands attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about some practical examples. We've seen contexts like education. It is essential that students develop critical thinking skills. I mean, that really underscores why learning isn't just passive, but actively engaging.
Yep, and then consider the health arena. Like when a doctor says it is essential that patients follow their medication schedule, it's not just a suggestion, it's a life-saving directive.
That's right. And in business too. A manager might assert, it is essential that employees adhere to workplace policies. It's compelling, clear, and forces you to, think about what's most critical.
Yeah, it really shifts the conversation. Although I do want to challenge one point here. Sometimes I wonder if the emphasis on essential might sort of come off as a bit too rigid. What do you think about that?
Interesting. Well, I think that's where the alternative structure steps in. By saying it is essential for... You can soften the blow a little bit while still communicating critical advice. It gives you that wiggle room to sound firm yet approachable.
Exactly. And the lesson really drives home, through activities, how to construct these sentences correctly. I mean, they even have a fill-in-the-blank segment where, learners practice by inserting the correct base form verb after it is essential that.
I remember that. And then there's the correction of common mistakes, like saying it is essential that she is present versus the correct it is essential that she be present. That practical approach really drives the point home.
Oh, yes. It's like an interactive checklist. And The lesson even includes a fun icebreaker with a word association game that kicks off the session, making it not just educational, but engaging too.
Yeah, that's a great way to break the ice. And let's not forget the role-play scenarios. Having a doctor, teacher, or manager using "it is essential that" in realistic conversations is super effective. It shows, how to integrate this structure into everyday dialogue.
Right? Those role plays really let learners transition from theory to practice. It offers a chance to practice not only speaking clearly, but also emphasizes when to use the subjunctive versus the alternative for noun to structure.
It's practical for sure. And then there's the debate challenge in the lesson. One team argues for something while using this structure, the other argues against. It's a clever way to ensure that everyone gets comfortable using "it is essential that."
Definitely, it encourages active use in critical thinking, reinforcing the idea that language isn't static. Instead, it adapts to how we express urgency and necessity.
Certainly, yep. I really appreciate how the lesson also includes quizzes, like fill-in-the-blank questions and multiple choices. It's like a fun review that forces you to think about why the verb stays in its base form.
Yeah, it's engaging and ensures that learners not only memorize but truly understand the underlying grammar rule. And the immediate feedback helps cement those points.
Exactly. So putting it all together, this lesson really covers the why, the how, and the when of using "it is essential that." It offers practical situations, interactive practice, and even debates that make it very comprehensive.
Right? And it's fascinating, how a simple structure can completely transform the way we communicate key ideas. Whether you're writing a high-stakes email or leading a discussion, it lends authority and clarity to your language.
You know, one thing that stood out to me is the emphasis on correcting common mistakes. I mean, I used to see "it is essential that she is here" a lot, but now it's "be here" instead. That shift really underlines the formal tone needed in certain contexts.
Absolutely, and that's where the real value lies. It's like a guide for those aiming to sound more fluent and confident, especially in professional or academic environments.
Totally. And I like how the lesson doesn't just stop at theory. It provides actionable real-life examples across education, health, and business. That practical application makes the learning experience much more dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. And the interactive activities like the role-playing and even the debate challenge really bridge the gap between written theory and spoken practice.
It really makes an impact. It sounds like a lesson that's designed to be immersive. The mix of explanation, practice, and real-life application really fosters, a more intuitive grasp of the structure.
For sure. And let's not forget the creative icebreaker at the beginning. The word association game is such a fun way to get everyone thinking critically about necessity and the notion of essential.
Indeed. Before we wrap up, do you think there are any drawbacks to relying too much on this specific structure?
Well, I mentioned earlier it might sound overly rigid if overused, but as long as you balance it with, alternative expressions and a natural delivery, it works great for emphasizing key points.
Fair point. Absolutely. It's all about balance. And by mastering this, learners will be able to navigate different contexts with confidence, knowing exactly when to be, formal or slightly more casual.
Exactly. So, to all our listeners out there aiming to boost their fluency, remember, it is essential that you practice these structures in your daily conversations, be it at work, in class, or even casual chats.
Right on. Yeah, keep practicing, keep experimenting, and soon enough, using these forms will become second nature.
And that brings us to the end of our discussion today. Thanks for joining this deep dive into mastering the phrase, "it is essential that" subject verb. Stay tuned, keep engaging, and always remember to share how you're using these techniques in your everyday thoughts and conversations.
See you next time.